Today we're going to be making this super cute crochet ghost granny square. I absolutely love this design and I used mine to make this throw blanket, but you can use it for any granny square project. It's pretty interchangeable for any other granny square. This is a pretty easy project, but I do recommend you have a little bit of crochet experience. I will be breaking down the stitches as we use them, but it might be a little bit hard for you to follow along if you're an absolute beginner. This is a great scrap yarn project, so it doesn't take a ton of yarn. It really depends, of course, on what kind of project you're going to be making. I'm going to leave the written pattern down in the description for you. It does include the instructions for the ghost granny square and the blanket. So if you'd like to grab that and follow along with the written printable pattern, you can, and let's get started. Okay, so to get started on today's project, you're going to need some worsted weight for yarn in a white or a cream color, and then a darker color like black. I'm going to be using pink today because it should be a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a 4.5mm hook, and your tapestry needle, and we can get started. I am starting off with my cream yarn. We're going to make a slip knot by wrapping our yarn around our two fingers, just like that. Pinch the yarn with your thumb, and then taking the pointer finger on your opposite hand, we're going to put that under the yarn and over that yarn tail, and then flip it up and pull it tight. Let's do that one more time. We're going to wrap the yarn around our fingers, pinch it with our thumb, put our pointer finger on our opposite hand under that yarn there and over the second one, the yarn tail, and then flip it up and pull it tight. Then we can insert our hook and pull the slip knot tight. Now that we have our slip knot, we're going to make 8 chains. So let's hold our yarn and start making our chains by yarning over and pulling through our slip knot to make 1 chain. Yarn over and pull through that loop to make our second chain. And we're just going to keep doing that until we have 8 chains. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now that we have our 8 chains, we're going to start working back down the chains that we just made, starting in the second chain from the hook. And that is going to be this loop right here. So we're going to be making half double crochets. You do that by yarning over. Insert your hook into that second loop right there. Just like that. Pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook to make 1 half double crochet. Let's do that again. Yarn over, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over and pull up a loop so that you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And we're going to continue that all the way down until we reach this last chain, and that's going to be 7 half double crochets in total. There's our third one. Our fourth one. And our 7th half double crochet into that very last chain. Now if your work is curling up like this, that's normal. We're just going to pull it and flatten it out. And it'll flatten out more as you work, so don't worry about that. And for our next row, we're going to start working back up and around the opposite side of our chain right here. And so to do that, we need to place 2 more half double crochets into this same space that we ended on. so that our work doesn't curl. So let's place 2 more half double crochets into that last chain that we just worked into. 1, 2, so that's 3 half double crochets in total into that last chain. I'm going to pull the yarn tail a little bit to tighten that up, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and clip it so it's not in the way. Okay. So like I said, now we're going to start working back down the opposite side of the chain. That's going to be into each of these loops here. And we're going to place 1 half double crochet into each one of those loops, just like that. Until we reach the end of this row, which is going to be down here. Now it can be easy to miss this very last loop right here, so make sure you don't miss that one. We're going to place our last half double crochet into that very last loop, like that. And now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to flip our work over, like that. And we're going to start working back, up and around and down the other side like we just did. And we're going to be placing a half double crochet into each one of these stitches. Now the stitches have 2 loops on the top, and you're going to want to make sure that when you make your stitch, you're going through both of those loops just like that. And we're going to skip this chain that we just made and go directly into that first stitch. So let's make 1 half double crochet into that first stitch, just like that. And we're going to continue that 1 half double crochet into each one of our stitches until we reach this one right here at the end. So now that I've reached the top middle stitch, that's going to be the second half double crochet that you placed into the last chain right here. We're going to place 3 half double crochets into this top middle stitch. That's going to prevent your work from curling in like that. So let's place 3 half double crochets right here. 1, 2, and 3. Like that. Now we're going to continue working back down this side. We're going to make 1 half double crochet into each one of these stitches, just like we did on this side. And now we've worked all the way back around into that very last stitch, like that. And you can kind of see the ghost shape that we're starting to make, this little half oval shape. So now we're going to chain 1 again and flip our work over so we can work back around just like we did one last time. So again, we're going to place a half double crochet into this very first stitch, and we're going to be skipping this chain that we just made. So let's half double crochet 1 right there. And we're going to continue making our half double crochets into each one of these stitches until we again reach the top middle stitch right here. So that looks like the top middle stitch to me, so I'm going to place 3 half double crochets again. It's directly above the one that we made in the last round. So let's place 3 half double crochets into that top middle stitch so our work does not curl. 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to place 1 half double crochet into each one of our remaining stitches until we reach this very last stitch. So now that we've finished the top part of our ghost, his little eyes are going to go right here. We'll sew those on later, and we just need to make the 3 bumps at the bottom. So we're going to flip it over and we're going to start working along this flat edge. Now the stitches as we work along this flat edge are not going to be super clear. We're just going to kind of try to make them even. So without chaining one, we're going to go ahead and start by making 4 double crochets. I'm going to go into this first little spot right here. I'm trying to roughly skip 1 stitch. So to double crochet, we're going to yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops on the hook, and that makes 1 double crochet. So we're going to place 3 more double crochets into that very same space, just like that. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through the last 2 on the hook. 2 more times. And now we have our 4 double crochets all into that very same space. So now I'm going to be making a slip stitch, and I want to go right here because I want my next set of double crochets to kind of be right in the middle here. So I'm going to place my slip stitch right here. So just insert your hook. It's a little tricky on this edge, just like that. Yarn over and pull up a loop. And we're going to pull that loop directly through the loop on our hook and pull that down to make a slip stitch. Now directly here in the middle, I'm going to make my next cluster of double crochets just like we did before. We're going to make 4 double crochets all into this middle space. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull through 2 again, and there's our first double crochet. Let's make 3 more all into that same space right in the middle. 2, 3, and 4, just like that. And you can see we've got this kind of bump here. We need 1 more right on the end. So I'm going to place my next slip stitch probably right here. So I can place my next double crochet cluster right here and then my very last slip stitch right here. So I'm going to go in right there. We just want it to be evenly placed, the best we can do. So let's pull that loop up and pull it directly through to make our next slip stitch. And we're going to make our last double crochet cluster right here. So place your first double crochet, just like that, all into the same space. Okay, so we just need to make our last slip stitch. I'm going to go into this stitch here on the edge, pull up a loop and pull that through and just pull that tight. And there's our ghost. So to finish our ghost off, I'm going to first chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn, then just pull your yarn through like that and pull it tight, just like that. And we can weave this yarn tail in later. So now I'm taking my pink yarn, or you can take whatever darker color yarn you chose. Your black yarn, I'm just using pink because it should be a little bit easier to see the stitches that I'm making. So to start the first row of our actual square, I'm going to attach my yarn to the stitch directly to the right of our top middle stitch. So if this is my top middle stitch right here, I'm going 1 directly to the right. And for this entire row, this first row of our square, we're going to be only working into the back loops. And we're going to do that because it'll make our ghost outline a little bit more clear. Otherwise, it can look a little bit messy. So I'm only going to be going into this back loop. So here's our middle stitch, our stitch directly to the right, that back loop. If we were going into both loops, it would look like that. So our back loop is going to be this one right here. And I'm going to attach my yarn by going into that back loop. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and then I'm just going to chain one, just like that. And if you want it to be a little bit more secure, you can tie this into a knot and then just weave in this yarn tail as you work, or tie it in the back. So for the chain that I made when I attached my yarn, that chain one, I'm going to count that as one single crochet. So we need to place one more single crochet into that same space that we attached our yarn. So let's insert the hook back into that back loop, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of the loops on the hook. So that's going to be our chain and our single crochet. That's going to count as 2 single crochets. So now I'm going to skip this top middle stitch and work into the one to the left. Remember, we're only working into that back loop. I'm going to place 2 single crochets into that back loop. 1 and 2. Now we're going to make the first corner of our square. We're going to skip over this next stitch and work into this following stitch here, the back loop only. We're going to make 2 double crochets into that back loop. And then we're going to make 1 triple crochet into that very same space. So for a triple crochet, you're going to yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2 more, and then pull through the last 2, and that's going to make your triple crochet. Now we're going to chain 2. Now that we have chained 2, we're going to repeat this but backwards. So let's make our triple crochet into this same space by yarning over twice, insert the hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 more. And now we're going to make our 2 double crochets into the same space again. Just like that. And you can see that we have our first corner, and you can kind of see how the square is starting to form. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches right here, and we're going to work into this 3rd stitch, the back loop only. We're going to place 3 double crochets into that stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to skip 2 more and work 3 double crochets again into this 3rd stitch, the back loop only. 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Now we're going to make our next corner, and we're going to skip 2 more stitches and work our corner in this corner stitch, this third stitch away right here. We're going to place 3 double crochets into the back loop of this third stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Let's chain 2 and place 3 more double crochets into this same space. 1, 2, and 3. So there's our next corner. Now we're going to work along this bottom edge. We're going to place a double crochet cluster in between each one of our double crochet clusters here. So it's basically going to be below the slip stitch that we made between our double crochet clusters. So let's go into that middle space right there. Oops. Right there, and we're going to place 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, just like that. So it kind of defines our ghost shape a little bit more. The next one is going to be right here. We're going to basically skip over those 4 double crochets and work into the slip stitch that we made. So 3 more double crochets into that same space. 1, 2, and 3. So that finishes the bottom. Now we're going to make an identical corner on this side, and then we're basically going to copy this side onto this side now. I need to work onto this corner space right here to match this side. So I'm going to skip over this stitches here, and I'm going to work right into the back loop of that corner stitch. And let's place 3 double crochets into the back loop of that stitch right there. 1, 2, and 3. Let's chain 2 and place 3 more double crochets into that same space to make an identical corner to that one. 1, 2, and 3. And there's our third corner. Okay, so now we're just going to copy this right here onto this side to finish the first row of our square section. Okay, so I'm going to skip over these 2 stitches right here, and I'm going to work into this third stitch, the back loop of this third stitch right here, and place 3 double crochets right into that stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, again, we're going to skip 2 stitches, these 2 right here, and work into this third stitch, the back loop only, with 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now I'm going to skip over this next stitch here, and I'm going to be working into the back loop of this stitch. Let's place 2 double crochets. and then a triple crochet. Remember, that is yarn over twice. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. Now we're going to chain 2 and do that same thing but backwards. So 1 triple crochet into the same space, and then 2 more double crochets into the same space. Okay, so now all we need to do is connect this together. I'm going to go into that first stitch, which is going to be the chain that we made when we attached our yarn. Right there. And I'm going to make a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to cut my yarn, pull that up, and then pull it tight so we can reattach our cream yarn and start on our next row. So at this point, you may be feeling like your square is not actually very square, and that's okay. Mine is the same way, but it's going to get more square as we continue to add rows. That's normal. So I'm going to attach my cream yarn to this corner space right here. And when I say corner space, I mean the chain 2 that we made between our clusters on either side of that corner. And you can attach your yarn to any one of your corner spaces that you like, but I'm going to start right here so you can kind of follow along with me all the way around. And it gets a lot easier from here because we're just going to make a granny square basically from here on out. Okay, so the same way we attached our pink yarn or your darker color yarn, I'm going to insert my hook into that corner space, yarn over, and pull up a loop. Okay, and then just like that. And if you want to tie, mine's a little short, but if you want to tie that and secure it a little better, you can. And just crochet over it as we go or weave it in. All right, so now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and this is going to count as 1 double crochet. Just this chain 3, that's going to be 1 double crochet. So let's place 2 more double crochets into this chain space, this corner space. I'm going to work over that yarn tail to kind of hide it. Okay. So that's going to be 3 double crochets. So just like our corner before, we need 2 clusters of stitches with a chain 2 in between them. So I'm going to chain 2 and place 3 more double crochets into that very same space. So now as we work along the top here, our spaces between our clusters are not super defined like they are over here. So basically for our next cluster, we want to work directly between these double crochets and our 2 single crochets right here. You can see there's a space right there. So we're going to place 3 double crochets into that space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So basically we're going to want 3 clusters on each side in between our corners. So I should have a corner, 1, 2, 3, corner, 1, 2, 3, corner, and so on. So I need 1 more cluster right here in the middle, and that's going to be right between our 2 single crochet clusters that we made in the last row. So that's going to be the space right here. I'm placing 3 double crochets into that space between those single crochets. Just like that. Our next set of double crochets are going to go right here between these 2 single crochets and these 2 double crochets right here. So let's place 3 double crochets into this next space. Just like that. So now we have our corner and we have our 3 double crochet clusters. Let's make our next corner by placing 3 double crochets into our chain space, our corner space right here. Chain 2, and then place 3 more double crochets into that same space right here. Oops. And that creates our second corner. Now we're going to place 3 double crochets in between each of our clusters here. So we should have 1 set here, 1 set here, and 1 set right here. Now it's time to make our third corner. Let's place 3 double crochets into our chain 2 space. Okay, let's chain 2. And place 3 more double crochets into that same corner space, like that. Okay, so for this edge, we're going to work a double crochet cluster, 1 right here, 1 right here, and 1 right here. All right. Now we need to make our last corner right here. Place 3 double crochets into that last corner space, chain 2, and place 3 more double crochets into that same space. We're going to make our last 3 sets of double crochet clusters into our last 3 spaces right here, and right here. So now I'm going to finish off this row by going into the top of that chain 3 we made at the beginning. I'm going to go into that loop right there at the top, and I'm going to make a slip stitch by yarning over and pulling that directly through the loop on my hook and just pull that tight. And that finishes our second round of our granny square section. And you can see it's starting to kind of square out a little bit more. It looks like a traditional granny square now. So now let's start our third row. I'm going to be keeping the cream yarn. And to start, we need to get over to this first corner space. So we're going to have to slip stitch into this next stitch and this one right here. And finally slip stitch into that corner space. And now we can start. So we're going to start our row 3 the same way that we started row 2. By chaining 3, this is going to count as 1 double crochet. Double crochet 2 more into the same space. Chain 2. And double crochet 3 more into that same space. just like that. So now we're going to place a double crochet cluster into each of our spaces between the previous double crochet clusters that we made. So we're going to have 4 on each side instead of 3 this time. So we're going to have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here, and then we're going to make our next corner. Same thing on this side, this side, this side. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you back here when I make my way around. So I made it all the way around in my row 3 of the granny square section. As you can see, I've got 4 clusters on each side between my corners. And now I'm just going to go into the top of this chain 3 that we made at the beginning. Just like in row 3, I'm going to slip stitch and pull that tight. And for row 4, the last row of our square, I'm going to be using our dark yarn color again. So I'm going to cut my cream color yarn and just pull that up and pull it tight. If you want to keep using your cream yarn, all you're going to do is slip stitch over, just like we did in the row before, to the corner space, and then you can start row 4. But otherwise, we're going to attach this dark yarn color to our corner space to start row 4. All right, now I'm going to attach my dark yarn color to the corner space by inserting the hook, pulling up a loop, and chaining 1 just like we did before. Again, you can tie that or just weaving it in as you go. That's totally up to you. I'm going to chain 3, 2, 3. Again, this counts as 1 double crochet. And I'm going to repeat row 3, but this time instead of 4 clusters, we're going to have 5. So make your corner just like we did before. You're going to have a cluster in between each of these, your corner again, and so on and so forth, just like in row 3, and I will meet you back here once I get that done. So I've finished the last row of my square. I'm just going to finish off again by going into the top of that chain 3 we made at the beginning and making a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 1 and then cut my yarn, pull that up and pull it tight. So the last thing we need to do to finish our square is add the eyes to our little ghost. So I like to put mine at the top of our original chain here, kind of on either side. So I think I'm going to place 1 here and 1 here. So I'm going to take my tapestry needle with my yarn attached. I'm using the darker yarn color. And I'm going to go up through the back of my work, just like that. And we can weave all these yarn tails in just a minute. And then I'm going about a stitch high. Like that. I'm going to do that one more time on the same side just so it's a little bit more defined. Like that. Then I'm going to go again through the back of my work on the opposite side. And make that second eye. There we go. We just need to clean this up at the back and make sure we tie the yarn off that we used for the eyes so it doesn't come undone. And there we go. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please subscribe and I'll catch you in the next one. Again, the written pattern for this Ghost Granny Square, including the blanket, is going to be down in the description if you'd like to grab it, and I will see you guys next time.